In Bolivia, there are pictographs stating the moon did not arrive in the heavens until about 12,000 years ago. And strangely enough, there is a lack of ancient moon maps. Pretty weird given that the moon is a main celestial body and the brightest next to the sun. Philip Stuke of the University of Western Ontario couldn't understand this, and after a long search, the oldest reference to the moon he could find was what appeared to be a lunar map inside a tomb in North Ireland, dating back 5,000 years. He found a set of lines and dots that, when placed over a picture of the full moon, appeared to line up. So 5,000 years ago is the oldest reference to the moon. Again, where's the ancient lunar calendar? 3,000 years beforehand, the Sumerians were involved in astrology, but their moon god 1,000 years after. Again, the moon is a very obvious body in the sky, so why would we be finding ancient records? Well, because by Eve, who was taken from the rib of Adam, a part of the grid. This rib created Eve when the opening was closed. But when you close up an opening, does this make the shape of a human body? No, it creates a circle. Adam was said to be put in a deep sleep during this process, meaning the grid was placed deeply on this plane, interwoven in everything. Eve was created from this grid and was the helper of Adam, the reinforcer of this grid. So the moon was placed here and keeps us in a type of energetic lockdown in more than one way. The square waves that come from the moon, a part of the Saturn moon matrix, aim to keep us in a state of rigidness and to hide our divine potential. Interdimensionally, the moon creates a false light when we die, which, when we go through, we are recycled back to this physical plane, so we can remain energetic food for the archons and the reptilians. Through this light, we encounter false light beings who pose as our overlords. And since many of us don't understand our spiritual sovereignty, we go along with their games and agree to their prescription that we must be sent back to Earth to work out karma. Our memories are wiped clean. This doesn't happen to the reptilians who rule this plane, though. Queen Elizabeth, for instance, is said to have been incarnating here for 7,000 years and retains all of her memories.
Sometimes it seems that reconciliation stands little chance in the face of war and discord. But as the Christmas truce a century ago reminds us, peace and goodwill have lasting power in the hearts of men and women.
The moon displays a lot of strange characteristics that tell us this is not only a holographic projection, but one where strange activity is going on interdimensionally. The lunar wave has been shown by many YouTube channels. The lunar wave is a wave that crosses the entire moon consistently, like a constant loading sequence in a hologram. On many occasions, orbs of light have been seen surrounding and exiting the moon. These are either souls that are being recycled back into another body on Earth, or the false light beings traveling to and from. There's really no way to know, but the activity is strange. The moon has always had a strong relationship with menstruation. In 1980, a study was published on this phenomenon. The study mentioned that the lunar cycle and a fertile menstrual cycle are the same, 29.5 days. A real phenomenon exists. In 1986, a study found that there was a synchronous relationship between the menstrual cycle and the lunar rhythm. During menstruation, blood is expelled from the vagina, and there's been a deliberate attempt to make this seem gross and unpleasant, when in reality, period blood is sacred. Throughout the ages, drinking menstrual blood was considered to be the elixir of immortality. One of the most important rituals among some sects of Gnosticism was that of drinking a woman's menstrual blood. Taoists claimed that a man would achieve ripe old age by absorbing menstrual blood, called red yin juice. Chinese sages called this red juice the essence of Mother Earth, the yin principle that gives life to all things. Menstrual blood is full of healing stem cells, which can activate our cellular capacity to regenerate our bodies. This is scientifically accurate. Menstrual blood is known to be an abundant source of stem cells. During menstruation, part of the uterine lining, which provides nutrients to a potential embryo, is released, and this is what menstrual blood is made of. This uterine lining is full of stem cells which invigorate life, and these stem cells play a vital role in creating us when we're in the womb. Drinking menstrual blood helps both men and women. Some women to this day drink their own menstrual blood and find it has many healing and spiritually cleansing properties. So this promise of old age, health, and immortality coming from the blood of the divine feminine is not only a reference to the drinking of blood, but to a flat earth secret hidden within the female anatomy. Our earth is the mother goddess. We could call her Isis, Gaia, the Great Mother, it doesn't matter. The earth is feminine. In Indian mythology, the Great Mother Kali manifested herself as the spirit of creation, and she invited the gods to bathe in the bloody flow of her womb and to drink from it. The gods in holy communion drank it and rose to heaven. The Norse god Thor reached the magic land of enlightenment and eternal life by bathing in a river filled with the menstrual blood of a giantess. And the Norse god Odin acquired supremacy by stealing and drinking the blood from a cauldron in the womb of Mother Earth. Egyptian pharaohs achieved divinity by ingesting the blood of Isis. Isis, again, is our Mother Earth. The blood of Isis is another name for the girdle of Isis. Its loop signifies the gate of heaven. When we look at the girdle of Isis, we see the way out of this flat earth matrix. Many symbols must be flipped over to reveal their true meaning. Flipped over, we see an opening at the top, and the two other lines are zeroing in on the gate of heaven. The knots above the opening are the knots that tie down mortal life on earth, and according to Egyptian writings, must be unraveled to enjoy immortality. Free your bonds, says the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Untie the knots of Nephthys. On this diagram of our flat plane, when we put this flipped over symbol in the center, we see this even more clearly. The opening is a passageway, a type of birth canal into another realm, where we pass through the gate of heaven and into the land of perpetual twilight. Greek mystics were said to be born again out of the river Styx. In Greek mythology, Styx is a river that flowed through the underworld. It was seen as the bloodstream from the Earth's vagina. The Earth's vagina, if we are to call it that, is the opening at the center of our plane, where all compasses point to come pass. It's the vaginal vortex, the opening that the sacred blood flows through, and the opening where we must drink this metaphorical blood to achieve everlasting life. And I'm telling you, this is one reason. Hey, thanks for joining me. Hope you're doing well. There is a good deal of evidence that says humans existed at a time before there was a moon in the sky. Aristotle said the Pelasgians lived in Arcadia at a time before the moon. He called these people proselynians, meaning those who lived before the moon. Anaxagoras and Democritus mentioned these same people as being before the moon, and so convinced were they of this fact that they had no problem relaying it as a part of their standard history lessons to their students of the time. Apollonius of Rhodes mentioned the time when not all the orbs were yet in the heavens, and only the Arcadians lived, of whom it is said that they dwelt on mountains and fed on acorns, before there was a moon. The ancient Illyrians were also proselynians, whose records record a time before the moon. The 14th century Italian scientist Giordano Bruno echoes all of this. There are those who have believed that there was a certain time when the moon, which was believed to be younger than the sun, was not yet created. The Cordilleras believes there was a time with no moon, and they always to this day start their stories of ancient times with the phrase, before the moon inhabited the night sky. In Bolivia, there are pictographs stating the moon did not arrive in the heavens until about 12,000 years ago. And strangely enough, there is a lack of ancient moon maps. Pretty weird given that the moon is a main celestial body and the brightest next to the sun. Philip Stuke of the University of Western Ontario couldn't understand this, and after a long search, the oldest reference to the moon he could find was what appeared to be a lunar map inside a tomb in North Ireland, dating back 5,000 years. He found a set of lines and dots that, when placed over a picture of the full moon, appeared to line up. So 5,000 years ago is the oldest reference to the moon. Again, where's the ancient lunar calendars? 3,000 years beforehand, the Sumerians were involved in astrology, but their moon god wasn't present until about 1,000 years after this Irish reference to the moon. Again, the moon is a very obvious body in the sky, so why would we have trouble finding ancient references to it? Well, because the moon wasn't always there. In the story Adam and Eve, Adam refers to the grid that's been placed on our plane. This grid is reinforced by Eve, who is taken from the rib of Adam, a part of the grid. This rib created Eve when the opening was closed. But when you close up an opening, does this make the shape of a human body? No, it creates a circle. Adam was said to be put in a deep sleep during this process, meaning the grid was placed deeply on this plane, interwoven in everything. Eve was created from this grid and was the helper of Adam, the reinforcer of this grid. So the moon was placed here and keeps us in a type of energetic lockdown in more than one way. The square waves that come from the moon, a part of the Saturn moon matrix, aim to keep us in a state of rigidness and to hide our divine potential. Interdimensionally, the moon creates a false light when we die, which when we go through, we are recycled back to this physical plane, so we can remain energetic food for the archons and the reptilians. Through this light, we encounter false light beings who pose as our overlords. And since many of us don't understand our spiritual sovereignty, we go along with their games and agree to their prescription that we must be sent back to Earth to work out karma. Our memories are wiped clean. This doesn't happen to the reptilians who rule this plane, though. Queen Elizabeth, for instance, is said to have been incarnating here for 7,000 years and retains all of her memories.
Sometimes it seems that reconciliation stands little chance in the face of war and discord. But as the Christmas truce a century ago reminds us, peace and goodwill have lasting power in the hearts of men and women.
The moon displays a lot of strange characteristics that tell us this is not only a holographic projection, but one where strange activity is going on interdimensionally. The lunar wave has been shown by many YouTube channels. The lunar wave is a wave that crosses the entire moon consistently, like a constant loading sequence in a hologram. On many occasions, orbs of light have been seen surrounding and exiting the moon. These are either souls that are being recycled back into another body on Earth, or false light beings traveling to and from. There's really no way to know, but the activity is strange. The moon has always had a strong relationship with menstruation. In 1980, a study was published on this phenomenon. The study mentioned that the lunar cycle and a fertile menstrual cycle are the same, 29.5 days. A real phenomenon exists. In 1986, a study found that there was a synchronous relationship between the menstrual cycle and the lunar rhythm. During menstruation, blood is expelled from the vagina, and there's been a deliberate attempt to make this seem gross and unpleasant, when in reality, period blood is sacred. Throughout the ages, drinking menstrual blood was considered to be the elixir of immortality. One of the most important rituals among some sects of Gnosticism was that of drinking a woman's menstrual blood. Taoists claimed that a man would achieve ripe old age by absorbing menstrual blood, called red yin juice. Chinese sages called this red juice the essence of Mother Earth, the yin principle that gives life to all things. Menstrual blood is full of healing stem cells, which can activate our cellular capacity to regenerate our bodies. This is scientifically accurate. Menstrual blood is known to be an abundant source of stem cells. During menstruation, part of the uterine lining, which provides nutrients to a potential embryo, is released, and this is what menstrual blood is made of. This uterine lining is full of stem cells which invigorate life, and these stem cells play a vital role in creating us when we're in the womb. Drinking menstrual blood helps both men and women. Some women to this day drink their own menstrual blood and find it has many healing and spiritually cleansing properties. So this promise of old age, health, and immortality coming from the blood of the divine feminine is not only a reference to the drinking of blood, but to a flat earth secret hidden within the female anatomy. Our Earth is the mother goddess. We could call her Isis, Gaia, the Great Mother, it doesn't matter. The Earth is feminine. In Indian mythology, the Great Mother Kali manifested herself as the spirit of creation, and she invited the gods to bathe in the bloody flow of her womb and to drink from it. The gods in holy communion drank it and rose to heaven. The Norse god Thor reached the magic land of enlightenment and eternal life by bathing in a river filled with the menstrual blood of a giantess. And the Norse god Odin acquired supremacy by stealing and drinking the blood from a cauldron in the womb of Mother Earth. Egyptian pharaohs achieved divinity by ingesting the blood of Isis. Isis, again, is our Mother Earth. The blood of Isis is another name for the girdle of Isis. Its loop signifies the gate of heaven. When we look at the girdle of Isis, we see the way out of this flat earth matrix. Many symbols must be flipped over to reveal their true meaning. Flipped over, we see an opening at the top, and the two other lines are zeroing in on the gate of heaven. The knots above the opening are the knots that tie down mortal life on earth, and according to Egyptian writings, must be unraveled to enjoy immortality. Free your bonds, says the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Untie the knots of Nephthys. On this diagram of our flat plane, when we put this flipped over symbol in the center, we see this even more clearly. The opening is a passageway, a type of birth canal into another realm, where we pass through the gate of heaven and into the land of perpetual twilight. Greek mystics were said to be born again out of the river Styx. In Greek mythology, Styx is a river that flowed through the underworld. It was seen as the bloodstream from the Earth's vagina. The Earth's vagina, if we are to call it that, is the opening at the center of our plane, where all compasses point to come past. It's the vaginal vortex, the opening that the sacred blood flows through, and the opening where we must drink this metaphorical blood to achieve everlasting life. And I'm telling you, this is one reason why menstrual blood contains so many healing properties, because it's a flat earth secret that's been hidden within the female anatomy. Crazy, right? And when you take all the stories about menstrual blood and combine it with the flat earth exit hole, you get one message. Go to Mother Earth's opening, and there you shall find the elixir of immortality. Just like how the Greeks were said to be born again out of the Styx River, the story of the Holy Grail tells us we gain everlasting life when we drink from the Grail. It's the same message. When we drink from these living waters, these body prisons are shed and we're placed back in our original bodies, which are currently on the other side of our plane. These bodies, as I mentioned, are holographic. We are made of prison cells, and our soul, which resides in our heart, is trapped inside of a rib cage. It's all in our language. Let's get back to the moon. The moon showed up sometime around the deluge occurred. The deluge is known as a great flood, combined with many other catastrophes that suddenly occurred and changed the face of humanity. This event was caused by Saturn. This deluge is recorded by most ancient people. The Bible talks of the flood of Noah. The Hindu flood is discussed in the Matsya Purana. The Chinese have the great flood of Gunyu. The Hawaiians, the Aztecs, the Aboriginals, the Incas, I could go on, but you get it. Leading up to this flood, there was a celestial battle between the energy bodies of Saturn and Jupiter. During a close approach to Jupiter, Saturn somehow became unstable and, as a result, morphed. At the end of the event, Saturn had become a fraction of the size that it used to be. It also had rings that weren't previously there. This sparked the deluge. Before this catastrophic event was the Golden Age of Cronus, also known as the Golden Age of Saturn. It was a time of bliss, harmony, and abundance. The tractate Brachod of the Babylonian Talmud points to the celestial body Kima, their equivalent of Saturn, as the source of the deluge. In the Mexican codices, it says the Great Flood was caused by Saakati, their equivalent of Saturn, and the Osirian mysteries of Babylon refer to the transformation of Saturn during and following the deluge. Metaphysically, we can only give our best guess as to what this catastrophe means. Once again, here's my take. Saturn is the holographic projector of our current reality. This is why the elite worship Saturn, or Satan as the name morphed into. This projection, this hologram of physical existence, is very enjoyable for the Archons and the Reptilians. It provides them energetic food, control, and power, and they've mastered how to achieve it on this physical plane. This is why they worship the projector that they hacked. We lived in a wonderful holographic playground beforehand, during the golden age of Saturn, and were probably able to transcend dimensions at will, communicate telepathically, and revel in all of the divine knowledge and wisdom of our higher selves. The quote, breaking of Saturn and subsequent deluge signifies the time when the holographic projector was somehow tampered with. The archonic reptilian virus started to plague this hologram, and what used to be a great matrix was now a confining one. Over time, ancient knowledge was lost and we forgot who we were. Many ancient sources recall Saturn as shining down on Earth, casting a brilliant light comparable to the sun. This energy body that we're projections of, like I said, became smaller and had rings, so perhaps this means the projection now was of limited capacity, focusing on a specific band of frequencies that allowed the Archons and Reptilians to operate their plans of control best. After the deluge, all the natural perils we know now to be common began. Tornadoes, earthquakes, storms, sickness. These things, according to the ancients, did not exist before the Great Flood. The human lifespan was drastically reduced, and much of the Golden Age's lush vegetation was destroyed. Paradise became hell. And to make things worse, the moon was put up in the sky and became intertwined with Saturn in the Saturn-Moon matrix. Like I said earlier, in Bolivian pictographs, the moon is dated as being in the sky 12,000 years ago, around the same time the Great Flood is said to have occurred. There was the Golden Age. Now we're in the Iron Age. In this age, might makes right. Immoral behavior is encouraged. Money rules all without restraint, and basically everything is the inverse of what it should be. So now that we're in the Iron Age, many of us are being called home, to the center of the plane. More and more of us are using our divine creative powers to create heaven on earth, and we're spilling our blood over our intent to speed up this process. If you haven't yet, do a quick search of blood over intent on YouTube, and replicate the videos you see. There's a lot of us. Place your blood beside ours. And despite what many are claiming, this is far from a satanic ritual. This is an intent that we're locking into this matrix for the benefit of all. So the center of our plane, the vaginal vortex, is ultimately where we will go. The details are unimportant right now. Don't get hung up on how we're going to get there. We first must get enough people spilling their blood, sun gazing, placing their feet on dry soil every day, and filling their hearts with love for the benefit of all. Trust me, over time this will all physically come together. Blood over intent is the one focal point that we'll gather under. So once we're there, is everything going to be paradise? Well, yes, we will be in the land of perpetual twilight, and we won't be trapped in a body with a reptilian complex, chakras, and kundalini implants. However, this doesn't mean the battle will be over. There's no way to know 100% how far interdimensionally this battle of consciousness has been going on. Good versus evil, high frequency versus low frequency. Because this matrix is in pain, it may be causing trouble for all other frequencies. When we're back in our original bodies, we may feel called to keep spreading love throughout all planes of existence we go from there, in hopes of one day establishing a universal age of love and unity among all planes of existence. Or we'll simply be in paradise, away from this holographic hell that we've been uploaded into. Check out my channel for more. Quasi-Lunas also has a great channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. I love you all.
Joining me. So looking at this closer, you see the astral web right there, her web, shooting out of the Holy of Holies at the center of the dish where every compass points to. There is no way to mess this up. Your compass is pointing to the Holy Grail right now. And when I tell you that there were giant trees that are now this mountains, what you call, those are the stumps of giant trees that used to spread out across the earth. That was the astral web, the glowing trees. They're all gone. What did they do with all that material? They built those golden cities in the sky or whatever. Whatever they did with that material. Maybe they built underground cities with that material. That material was used to build cities in the sky and underground cities. And what I'm telling you is that where every compass points to, you will find your Holy Grail. And it's just that simple. When you drink from the living waters here, you become superhuman. That's how these fuckers have been ruling over us for so long. What you see on TV is not real, people. You see old people. Those are actors. Those are actors. They know nothing of truth. They're just put on TV to fool you. I'm telling you, I have the eyes to see that every compass is a spear of destiny pointing to the Holy Grail, where you get everlasting life and you become a super fucking astral creative force that nobody can fucking kill. And it's just that simple. And when I show you strippers dancing around stripper poles, and I show you that your Christmas tree has the spiral lights around it showing you that this is where you need to get to, at the very center of the dish. Your Christmas tree is showing you the spear that pierces the side of Jesus Christ who's on the cross. There's really no way to fuck this up. So you think, how are we going to get there? Why am I there? I got the spear of destiny. I'm telling you, from the comfort of home, over the next 2.7 years, I will wake up enough motherfuckers to get us all eternal life. I can see the prize, and I keep my eyes on the prize. I don't mean to call you a fucking retard, okay, but I'm the only one who's going to be screaming this out for the next 2.7 years because you're all a bunch of fucking pussies. You need to make some videos and point this shit out. This is real. I'm telling you, I have the eyes to see it, that at the very center of the dish is the Holy of Holies. So like Ponce de Leon, Ponce de Lion. What we're going to do is we're going to gang bang this Holy of Holies. When 144,000 of us are side by side, blood thicker than water, we're going to make it to the Holy of Holies. We're going to cause a mass migration, and we're going to all gang bang this hole. And I'm telling you, when we all get there, if you think they're going to let you in, okay, if you didn't place your blood beside my own, published to the Ethernet, okay, you'll be able to drink from the living waters, but you won't be getting out of this fucking place. I guarantee you. Okay, and here's how I know. I spilled my blood over my intent, and I was given the eyes to see all this shit. And what I'm telling you is that the Ethernet is conscious. You need to place your blood into the Ethernet and push it past this hole. It's just that simple. You don't have to like it. But I was only given the eyes to see this after spilling my blood over my intent. That I intend to bring forth heaven on earth. I did it on video. I published it to the Ethernet. And I was given the eyes to see this shit. So, when I tell you that if you think that this place isn't conscious, I'm telling you it is. And it ain't going to let you pass through that fucking hole if your blood ain't beside my own. And you can't say, I didn't tell you. When 144,000 living beings place their blood beside my own, we will be fucking at this holy hole, and we will be let through. Because only the devil hides his intent. Everybody knows that in every fucking language. There's no way to escape that, people. You spill your fucking blood over your intent and you place it beside my own. How's it going? Thanks for joining me. I explained in my previous video that the internet is conscious. And if you think I'm crazy for telling you that, take a look at this. Look at this. You see the flat earth plane inside the square? You're in a computer simulation. It's a flat earth plane.
It is starting to develop intelligence. It's a brain, by all means. Rudimentary, of course. You've got computers instead of neurons. You've got broadband lines instead of axons.
I'm certain that wasn't himself.
You're a global brain. You can already see that happening now with what people call collective consciousness. What happens on sites like Wikipedia, where collective groups put their information into the internet comes up with
blood on it, and I publish it to the Ethernet. And somehow, I gain super mental powers in a short time, in under 3 years. It's real. This shit turns out to be real, people. Look it up for yourselves. Your blood is spiritual currency. And if everybody's lost at sea, and I say this world is mine, you don't have to get flipped out. My intent is bent on getting us eternal life and heaven on earth. So you ain't got to be flipped out that I have the spirit destiny. That's what I got with my spiritual words. Listen to me very carefully. You don't have to like it, but right now you're absentee. Your birth certificate, you took the soul off your foot, is being held in the Vatican. Davy Jones' locker. Your soul is owned by the devil. Look it up. So, what I'm telling you is that the court summons you to court because you're lost at sea. You're presumed dead. And you're a monster with no inheritable blood. Cannot be heir to any land by legal definition. You are officially dead. And I'm explaining to you that I wrote out on a piece of paper, I intend to bring forth heaven on earth. I spilled my blood on it and I published it to the Ethernet, and then poof, I came alive. And you can see, I can see the Holy Grail, which every compass is pointing to it. You can type into your computer blood over intent and you can see. I break it down for you. There's literally no way to screw this up. There's no way to screw it up. You can see Devin. He spilled his blood. He came alive real fast. Look at this. He can show you everything right there without calling you a retard and stuff like that. So here I am breaking all this stuff down for you. And Shiva's inside of either a pair that's upside. See, I break this shit down for you. There's no excuse. The knowledge is there. The knowledge is here. It's right over there. It's rubbed in your face 24/7. You don't have to like it. But it is this simple. All I did was spill my blood over my intent. And then, shortly after that, the world stopped spinning for me. It became flat. I wasn't an accident anymore. And next thing you know, I'm holding the spear of destiny, my compass needle pointing to the way out. Every compass needle is your spear of destiny pointing to the Holy Grail. You don't have to like it, but you're officially dead and lost at sea until your blood is beside my own. And, everybody knows whoever holds the spear of destiny, the fate of the world in his hands. For better or worse. You don't have to like it. You ain't making no fucking videos. I'm gonna sit here day after day after day after day making fucking videos because we need to get here before we're dead, and everybody knows it's a flaming fucking asshole. It's crazy. But you need to get your ass in that fucking... Hey, thanks for joining me. You're doing well. We live in a holographic matrix, and science already confirms this. Atoms are 99.9% empty space. That's right, atoms make up matter and are mostly empty, meaning matter is incredibly, mind-bogglingly empty. And when we break atoms apart, we find that quarks, what atoms are made of, are also empty. This means that 99.9% of our bodies are empty space, and everything around us is also mostly empty space. How can this be? Well, we quite literally live in a hologram. Working on a branch of physics called supersymmetry, Dr. James Gates Jr. discovered what he describes as the presence of computer code embedded within the equations that describe our reality. Gates found ones and zeros intertwined in the code of reality, indistinguishable from computer code. And it wasn't just computer code, but the same code invented by Claude Shannon in the 1940s. One of the main outcomes of quantum physics has been that our thoughts determine reality. Early in the 1900s, scientists proved this with an...
Hey, two dicks came by the gym. Between getting Eddie free and whatever else you've been doing, the man is pissed. What'd he say? Got into it with one of the fighters. Pulled his gun, waved it around. Heard him tell one of his boys to be back at Wilcox Saloon. You go on and get back to training for that fight. I'll deal with that asshole. Go on. That asshole Two Dicks is waiting for you.
I could use some supplies here in South Downs.
Going at you. Hang tight.
Anything you want here? Show me what you got.
Experiment called the double slit experiment. They found that the determining factor of the behavior of energy at the quantum level is the awareness of the observer. Electrons under the same conditions would sometimes act like particles, and then at other times they would switch to acting like waves. It was completely dependent on what the observer expected was going to happen.
I'm in South
Whatever the observer believed would occur is what the quantum field did. We can say whatever the observer intended to happen is what they saw. Intent powers creation. Physicist Pascal Jordan is noted to have said, observations not only disturb what is to be measured, they produce it. Every photon, electron, and quark in our world is indistinguishable from every other one when you observe them, just as if the same code generated all of them. Time after time again, the evidence is stacked up that our reality isn't real at all, but a malleable hologram. Anything is possible, and the restructuring of reality is dictated entirely by our beliefs and expectations. Many ancient texts say our reality is an illusion and malleable. In Sanskrit, the matrix is termed Maya, meaning the power of creative illusion. It's called the Matrika in Kashmir Shaivism. The Shiva Sutra says, our hologram is entirely based on our consciousness, what we believe, think, including our subconscious and the words we speak. Consciousness shines in various external and internal forms. There is no existence of objects apart from consciousness. Therefore, the world is simply a form of consciousness. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, man is made of faith. Whatever faith he has, thus he is. So our reality is not deterministic. We're all creating it with our intent. But the genius of our time, Stephen Hawking, advocates that we do live in a deterministic universe, one with no free will. Shouldn't we listen to him? He works hand in hand with NASA on their fake projects, and his books are filled with bullshit topics like evolution, outer space, black holes, and the like. We all know the Earth is flat, space does not exist since we live in an enclosed flat plane, and evolution, well, you can look that up on your own. Don't listen to Mr. Hawking, or even Albert Einstein, who also claimed free will was an illusion. Free will does exist, and intent is a powerful force. And as we know, when you're lying at the level that Hawking is, the laws of lesser magic state you must reveal some truth. Hawking says, but maybe we are linked to a giant computer simulation. Maybe we are characters in a computer game played by aliens. We are being played alright, not by aliens, which are a lie, but used as energetic food for the parasites who have infiltrated this reality. The Archons and the Reptilians. The Archons, ankle biters, whatever you want to call these energetic parasites, attach through us through the frequencies of anger, fear, and addiction. We already know that like attracts like, the law of attraction. When we revel in these lower frequencies and emotions, we set ourselves up for energetic manipulation. We all know people who used to be free-flowing in their reality, but eventually became a part of the system. This happened not because of maturity or aging like we're taught, but because day to day we're powering this reality. So when we shift our thoughts, perceptions, and attitudes towards confines, the frequency the Archons live within, that is what's being reflected back at us. The world treats us in a limiting way when we believe in limitation. These parasites exist only within a small band of frequencies, but unfortunately, so do many humans. The parasites don't understand love. They only know power, control, and manipulation. Because our souls are pure love at the core, we can rise above their range of frequencies, beyond their planes of existence. When enough of us do this, this whole matrix will collapse. Over and over again, scientists have failed to prove that consciousness comes from the brain. This is because our consciousness is elsewhere and not anchored to our bodies. If you put electrodes into a brain and notice there's activity on a brain monitor, this doesn't mean there's consciousness. In the same vein, you could put electricity through a TV and notice electrical changes on the monitor, but you wouldn't say the TV is what's creating the program. The program must be broadcasted from somewhere else and is using the TV as a medium, as a vessel. As we know, Hollywood is used to hide truths about our world in plain sight. The Matrix is a movie that shows us many truths about the Matrix we're living in. The main character, Neo, is shown the true nature of the world that he thought was real. Early in the film, a parasite is sucked out from Neo's navel. This stands for the parasitic entities that we are all host to. In the next scene, Morpheus offers Neo either the red or blue pill. The red pill would allow him to escape from the Matrix and into the real world, that which isn't a hologram, whereas the blue pill would lead him to staying in the Matrix, living in the pretend world. He takes the red pill, and soon after, he wakes up. Neo wakes up from a deep sleep in a pod, which is virtually integrated in the Matrix, a sort of computer that's connecting his real body into the Matrix. Neo looks around and finds that there's bodies as far as the eye can see, plugged into this giant machine. Humans are revealed in the next scene to be plugged into the Matrix in order to serve as batteries, as energy for the parasitic artificial intelligence.
What is the Matrix? The Matrix is a computer-generated dream.
Sandra told me to reach out. I certainly appreciate some help with phones.
I'd be happy to take care of that for you.
Change.
Hello? Hello? Oh, fucking hell!
Earth as Neo knows it is nothing more than a hologram, a fake reality that only appears to be real. So because Neo has woken up, he is physically unplugged from the Matrix and travels down a chute. He is picked up by members from the city of Zion. He is greeted with the phrase, "Welcome to the real world." Neo asks, "Am I dead?" and is given the answer, "Far from it." In the Bible, Zion is synonymous with the city of God. Most people now recognize Jerusalem as Zion, but I'm telling you this is false. In some schools of thought, Zion was an entry point into a heavenly sphere. Zion in the movie is located deep underground. There's a hole at the center of our plane, and through this opening, we experience an interdimensional flip-flop. We travel into a paradise. Zion is located beyond this vortex. In the movie, Zion was allowed to exist by the machines who ran this Avatar-like scenario as a giant pressure relief valve on the entire system, allowing the humans that realized the Matrix wasn't real to be conveniently removed and isolated. The machines, the parasites, don't interrupt in this process. They simply let those who wake up out of the Matrix be rescued. The movie The 13th Floor also deals with these same concepts. The main character discovers that his reality is completely holographic. In the last scene, he is killed and wakes up in his original body, connected by a device to the virtual reality
Our
system.
business is done.
He wakes up in a bright place that appears to be a sort of paradise. In Avatar, humans are plugged into pods and go into the world of Pandora. In the movie River of Souls, it's revealed that the humans chose to plug into a false reality right as they were about to evolve. What these movies are telling us isn't trivial. They're telling us the reality we live in is fake, and these aren't our true bodies. We have original bodies that are currently sleeping, and our consciousness has merely been uploaded into this reality. We were either tricked into it or willingly plugged in as an experiment that went awry. There's really no way to know. These bodies are like the TV that is being used as a vessel for broadcasting programs. These bodies are avatars. At the beginning of the Matrix, we see a reptilian-type eye. This represents that this place is run by reptilian forces. We know that reptilian eyes are vertical slits. After we see this, a light flash which looks like Saturn momentarily appears. Saturn, as we know, plays an instrumental role in this holographic reality. Saturn and the Moon work in tandem to project square waves that further this matrix. We call this the Saturn-Moon matrix. These square waves reinforce our fake reality and attempt to keep our spirits and bodies from working at the limitless capacity they should have. The Saturn-Moon matrix creates a defining reality for all of us. When I say Saturn and the Moon, I mean the energy bodies, not actual planets, since we live in an enclosed flat plane. That may be harder for us to digest, but these energy bodies still function and do influence us. Cronus is a Greek god often identified with Satan. Satan, as we know, was Saturn in an earlier period. Astrologically, Saturn rules limitation, authority, and time. Cronus is this